and it's going. Yeah, after there's something with my phone where sometimes when I record stuff, the first X amount of seconds, the audio is super, super low.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll try to not move the table and shit.
Do you have am I going to start out with a question, or are you going to start out talking?
Yeah, I'm just going to start talking pretty much right now.
Do you care what first question I ask you? It can be off this or not off this.
Sure.
Okay.
So, what's today's date? February 28th. That's right.
Jody Philpott's birthday.
And the 1 year anniversary of. Anywho, so today's February 28th. My mom and I are sitting down for the first time to film. I'm Blake Ross, as you probably know, and I'm going to start a YouTube channel. And I'm planning on featuring all kinds of different cool, interesting things. Everything from, opinions on sports to having guests, doing podcasts, making highlight reels, freestyle sessions, whatever it is. I love to talk. I got a lot of opinions on a lot of things. And I got a lot of time on my hands. And I can tell you this, one of the things that will be happening with this channel is that for the first time publicly, I'm going to tell my story because almost nobody knows it. A couple of people who are really close to me know the specifics, but I think a lot of other people, friends of mine, acquaintances, people whom I haven't seen since high school, whatever, Instagram friends and things like that, they know that I've had medical issues, mental health issues, weight gain, things like that. And I'm going to talk about that and open up a lot about that. And I hope to reach some catharsis by doing that and sharing my story. And I hope to help anyone else out there who ends up running across it feel like someone out there knows what it is that they're going through. But with that being said, for the most part, we want to keep this shit light, breezy, fun, and stuff like that. Because anyone who knows myself and my mom, who is pretty much the co-host / producer / director on set, which hopefully the set that we've got set up today, hopefully we see it evolve in the future. But she and I right now are just going to shoot the shit. One of the first things I asked her to do when we got the ball rolling on this idea was to go to her school, my former school, St. Andrews, and ask people, students, teachers, whomever, to just throw me some questions, just anything I can answer, just so that I can have some content to put out there. So that's the first thing we're going to film here. Ma's sitting here. She's got a bunch of papers full of questions from all kinds of people, and she might have some questions of her own. And so this is going to be the very first content that we filmed for this YouTube channel. And I'm excited to do it and excited to see where it goes. So let's make it happen, Captain.
All right. So for your very first question, this is a very important question, okay?
All right.
If you had to listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Easy answer, automatic for me. Liberation by Outkast. It's my favorite song of all time. It's off my favorite album of all time, Aquemini, which was dropped by Outkast in September, I believe, of 1998. Spodioti Dopalicious and Liberation are two of my 5 favorite songs of all time.
Spodioti Dopalicious?
Spodioti Dopalicious.
What?
It's an Outkast song. Okay. You know that song. You got it on one of your playlists.
Right.
Anyway, unbelievable album, and those 2 songs are absolute masterpieces that transcend rap, hip-hop, any genre. On Liberation, you've got Erykah Badu, CeeLo Green, Big Rube. It's just an unbelievable piece of art that I never, ever get tired of listening to. Liberation by Outkast. Great question, by the way.
All righty. That was from Audrey, a teacher at St. Andrews.
Shouts out to Audrey.
Shouts out to Audrey. Okay. Is there a book that you've read that has been an inspiration for you?
That's another good question.
That's from Maria at St. Andrews.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you 2 books. And I wouldn't so much say inspiration as I would say really helped me out. So I guess you could say inspiration. The first one is called The Little Book of Happiness. Mom got that for me many, many years ago, and it's exactly what it sounds. It's a very small book. It's a book that's intended for the reader to read through the book many, many, many times throughout life. You can sit there and spend 2 minutes and read 10 pages, and they're all very small, simple, just truths of life, really, or things that can help you be happy. One of the things I remember from that book, one of the pages, it just said, take small risks every day. Take a small risk every day, because the process of like maybe for a student, it would be raising their hand in class and speaking out, right? You take this small risk, you survive, you go through it unscathed, you're fine. And the more and more you get used to putting yourself out there like that, the less fear you have. And the more, just less fear is such a good thing. And then the other one is a book called Happiness is a Choice by Barry Neal Kaufman. And that book, and we're going to touch on this a lot more in the future, June 2009, June 25th, 2009, the day Michael Jackson died, I was admitted into drug rehab because I was chemically dependent on my benzos, on my prescription pills, on lorazepam, clonazepam, and then Ambien. And I was so chemically dependent on them that it was getting out of control, and I had to go to drug rehab, and it was hell. I've been through a lot in my life, but the worst physical thing I've ever been through is benzo withdrawals. It was absolute torture. It was absolute torture. And you just can't imagine what it's like to be chemically dependent on drugs like that, and then to get taken off of them, and what it does to your mental health. And I was really losing my mind. I mean, like on the verge of a psychotic break I felt while I was in rehab. And there were, it was a real struggle for the first probably 7-8 days. And when I was having my absolute worst moments where it felt like the world was caving in on me, and I was literally shaking, wrought with anxiety, going through benzo withdrawals, I would go to my room and I would get Happiness is a Choice by Dr. Barry Neal Kaufman, and I would read it just to try and focus my mind on that. And so I would recommend those 2 books to anyone. They're both very short, easy reads that definitely impacted my life. So thank you, Maria, for another great question, because I think people are always looking for music recommendations, and people are always looking for things to read. So thank you.
True that. And so you mentioned that the Little Book of Happiness says to take a risk every day. I'm going to ask you to take a risk right now. I love it when you do impressions, and you might think you look silly or whatever, but like you do Steve, what's his name? Steve.
Oh, you're going to say Steve Irwin?
Yeah.
I haven't done Steve Irwin
take a risk and just do it now. Let me see.
Right, Australian.
Okay.
Right. Oh, so here's the thing. If I'm going to do an impression, I got chuck a wicked sicky, mate. I got to, because I've been doing British impressions so much recently.
Well, you know what? Choose your impression. Do an impression of anyone right now.
I've been watching CT a lot on the challenge. CT is just like, I'm going to fucking smash this kid's head and eat it. I don't know what Josh is thinking, running off at the mouth. But, I told everyone else in the house, give me the goof. I want the goof. He's the weakest player in the house. And, I think Josh is really fucking easy to beat. So,
CT and Big T, great team this season on the challenge.
She's lovely. She's just a little pint. She's just a little beautiful, lovely little princess. And then you've got CT. He's like this big hulking man, and I think that together just make a little perfect little pair, if you will.
They do make a little perfect pair.
If you don't watch the challenge, you need to watch the challenge.
Okay, there's another shout out.
That's a
to
challenge.
a television show.
That's right.
Okay, so the thing that I love about CT is that he is encouraging to his
So
partner.
supportive.
And I myself as a teacher, I know that if you are frustrated with a teammate and you yell at them, you're going to make them do worse.
They're gonna
If
implode.
you encourage them, more than likely they're going to do better. So there's a little tidbit for mom.
That's right. And shouts out to CT and Big T. That's the dynamic duo right now on this
right.
season of the challenge.
Blake and I are going to be on the challenge one day as well.
The geriatric / obese edition.
Oh, that is the best idea ever. TJ, did you hear that?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to ask you a serious question now.
Oh, okay. Switching gears.
This is a biggie. You might have to give it some thought, but you know what? Knowing your brain, you've already given it some thought. What do you think of the state of sports during the pandemic, and how do you think the state of sports is going to change after this? Elizabeth Martin.
Huge question.
Mm-hmm.
Massive question. And a great question. I really appreciate that question. My brain is going in so many different directions right now because of the different ways that different sports have handled COVID. So, for example, one thing that I'm disappointed in that hasn't changed despite COVID and everything is, and we're about to have an NBA All-Star game. And Mom will tell you, NBA All-Star Weekend is appointment viewing for me my entire life. I was a hooper growing up, believe it or not, and I'm still a hooper at heart. And I just, every February, or this year it's going to be March, I love All-Star Weekend. They should not have it this year. They should not have it, but they're having it for money reasons. TV money. There's just too many people who are going to lose money, and so they're insisting that it go on. They're doing whatever they have to do. Read me the question one more time.
What do you think about the state of sports during the pandemic, and how will it change after this?
The state of sports. Well, let me say this. I've always believed, Ma, you know this about me, in the power of sports, in the importance of sports. There is nothing in the world that brings people together like sports. And that's a fact. I mean, wars have literally come to ceasefires so that opposing sides can watch a World Cup match. Okay? Nothing, let me tell you the story of Josh Hader. Josh Hader grew up in rural Oklahoma, and he grew up with some really closed-minded and just straight up racist beliefs. He was a young, dumb, racist kid, and he was really good at sports. So he probably never had anyone telling him, hey, you need to straighten up your act. So he had all these beliefs about minorities, immigrants, whomever, non-whites. And he even went on Twitter and said some incredibly ignorant things. I think he even posted the N-word on Twitter. And this is when he was in high school. I'm about to burp. So let me tell y'all something. That was such a minor baby burp. You just don't even know. I have something called fibromyalgia, and it gives me a lot of gas. Also, my diet sucks. So it is what it is. Now, no, this is serious. Josh Hader got elected to his first All-Star game a couple years ago, and while he was pitching in the All-Star game, which he actually ended up blowing the game and losing, so the night should have been one of the best nights of his professional life, maybe his life in general. Then he loses the game, and when the game ends, turns out that someone on Twitter had brought up all his old tweets from when he was 15, 16 years old or whatever, and they had the N-word in them and stuff. So he gets off the mound thinking he's already unhappy about facing these questions he's about to face about losing the game, and they don't even ask him about the game. They ask him about these tweets out of nowhere. Well, a day or two later, when everyone got back to Milwaukee, Josh Hader gave a press conference with 4 or 5 of his Black and Latino teammates standing behind him in solidarity. And Josh Hader explained how embarrassed he was for his actions and that it was baseball that showed him the truth, that his ignorant ass beliefs were bullshit. It was once he got in the minor leagues and he's got a black dude here and a Dominican dude here and a Puerto Rican dude here and, a guy from San Francisco over, and everyone comes from different places and different backgrounds, religions, beliefs, whatever. And it turns out we're all the same. It turns out we all just want to be happy and love people and have our families be healthy. And that's it. And sports brings people together and shows them that. And I think, so I've known that and felt that for a long time, but I believe that this pandemic has shown a lot of people how important sports is. When all of a sudden, things that you counted on being there, suddenly, Texas basketball, as I'm sure we'll talk a lot about, is my first and truest love. My dad worked for Texas basketball when I was growing up. Like I said, first and truest love. We've had multiple times this year where there's no UT basketball for weeks, We're learning. People take sports for granted. People take entertainment for granted. The things that make us happy and the things that give us something to look forward to, the things that make our mundane lives not so mundane. And beyond the fans realizing what it's like to not have a March Madness, which we didn't have last year. And then to also have all the billionaires out there and how beyond the billionaires, our economy lost so much money from when the NBA stopped, when the MLB stopped. I mean, think about all of the logistics that are involved in high-level professional sports, from their traveling, their hotels, their food, the ticket revenue, the ad revenue for TV, merchandise. I mean, sports is an integral part of the world economy. And so maybe that'll be the biggest thing that gets taken from this is you would assume the powers that be will hopefully put things in place to say, what if we lose sports again? What if we lose sports again? So many different economies in the world were affected by no soccer, no basketball, no baseball, whatever. I think the power of sports in so many different areas, from the joy it brings us to the effect on the economy, it's apparent now. It's obvious and evident for everyone to see.
Alrighty then.
That was a long ass answer. Get ready for more of those.
That was very unusual.
That's sarcasm.
That was sarcasm. Here's a question from one of my 7th grade students. Did you ever cheat on a test, and was it worth it?
I cheated on a shit ton of tests. I cheated all of the time as a kid. Big mistake. Big mistake. Yeah, only did myself a disservice. Man. You just... I liked to try and get by doing the bare minimum. I like to hang out. I like to shoot hoops. I like to holler at girls and, have fun. And I didn't like to study. And I didn't like school that much until I was out of it. And I realized how awesome school is. But the main thing here, because it's not even about a test. It's not about your test. It's not. Whatever tests I cheated on, even if I had learned the material, take all the tests I did study for and do well on, I'd probably fail them if you gave them to me today. It's not about the test. It's about holding yourself accountable. And I think that for kids, I think middle school is the perfect time to start dabbling in accountability. To, when you're in fifth grade, little kid, whatever, you're goofy, you're running around doing all this stuff. But, those are kids. Then you move up to that adolescent level, and after that you move up to your teenage years, young adult. And the bottom line is if you want to be able to handle the adult world, there's certain things you've got to start doing right now. And one of them is taking yourself seriously enough, having enough pride in yourself to just study. Or even if you don't study, then take the consequences, take the loss. Sit there, take the loss, get the terrible grade, have it affect you. Have you go, you know what, I'm better than that. I'm better than this. I don't need to cheat. I don't need to fail. I just need to study a little bit next time. It's about building your own character. It's not about a test. It's about building your own character. I totally regret cheating as much as I did. And if I could tell my younger self, I would tell him he's screwing up and to not do it. So.
Well, speaking of school, who was your favorite teacher? I happen to know the answer to this, and there are two of them.
Jerry Buttry at St. Andrew's Episcopal School. Okay, baby. Hey, no more, Papa. No more. Go away. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I think I'm about to get nauseous.
Nice.
This happens, regularly. It has to do with my medication. All right, Jerry Buttry was an unbelievable educator at St. Andrew's Episcopal School when I was there. The middle school is, what is the middle school now? Where I was in, it used to be the 6th grade wing. Is that what it is?
It's the old 6th grade wing and Del Hall.
No. When I was in middle school, it was just the 6th grade wing. Is that still the 6th grade wing?
Yes.
Okay. When I was in middle school, the whole middle school was just a 6th grade wing, 7th and 8th grade. And Mr. Buttry had a Texas history class in there that was unbelievable. It was probably the hardest class I ever took at St. Andrews. Everyone in the class knew and appreciated how difficult it was, that even the smartest kids who never get anything other than a 97 or 100 would struggle. But he treated us like adults, which was so important and so empowering. He was just an unbelievable educator, and Texas history is such an amazing subject. He introduced all of us to Lonesome Dove, which is my favorite movie to this day. But Jerry Buttry, just an unbelievable educator. He was very demanding of his students. He really treated us like adults. And it was one of those classes where when everyone came in, you were tuned in and turned on. No one goofed around in that class. And yet everyone loved it. Because, what are you saying to me?
I was going to ask you a question.
Oh, okay.
Did you learn how to defenestrate during his class?
Yes, we all learned how to defenestrate during his class. Does anyone out there know what defenestrate means?
I think it means climbing out of a window.
No, it means tossing out of a window.
Tossing out of a window.
Tossing.
Okay.
He would toss our books out of the window, among other things.
But didn't y'all get to climb out of the window too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but it was such a demanding class, and yet everyone loved it because there's something really empowering being 13 years old and being treated like an adult. And so it was a class that we all took very seriously and didn't goof around in and stuff, but we loved it. He was an amazing educator. Real quick, who were you going to say was my second, was the other answer?
Mr. Tarrant.
That is totally correct. But before I go to Mr. Tarrant, I want to, did anyone ask this question or are you asking this question?
It was a student. I can't remember who.
Okay. Well, Ann Donovan, I want to give a shout out to her. She was my biology teacher in 7th grade. When I worked at St. Andrews, I was kind of popular. People liked me. People liked being around me. When I went to school, when I matriculated at St. Andrews, teachers pretty much fucking hated me till I don't know, until about the time I left. But 7th grade was the first time, I grew up certainly and matured a little bit, and I got to go into a new building where teachers didn't have preconceived notions of me, and Ann Donovan and Jerry Butchery really showed interest in me, and it was 2 subjects I really liked, and I thought they were great educators who made me want to become an educator, and I definitely take things with me that I learned from being in their class. And then Mr. Tarrant, my freshman year pre-AP world geography teacher, let me tell you about, holy shnikes,
What
those
is it?
squirrels are going at it, man. That was crazy. Anyway, so we had what's called block scheduling at Pflugerville High School, which means that we only had 4 classes a day for 90 minutes each class. Hour and a half every day, 5 days a week is just insane. That is way too much, and there's not 90 minutes worth of any subject that you can teach kids every day. It's just... So, Mr. Tarrant made the most out of that 90 minutes, and just like Mr. Butchery, very, very demanding, expected more out of his students than they ever expected of themselves. He could be a real hard ass. He scared and intimidated a lot of people. He was known to say, if you don't like it, the counselor's office is down the hall. His wife was the counselor. And if you wanted, you could go see her and say, get me out of your husband's class because I'm afraid of him. But he was just demanding. He just wanted the best for us. And so 90 minutes, so they used to deliver newspapers, and he would make sure his class got the most newspapers delivered. And for the first 15 minutes of his class every day, we would come in and you would grab some section of the newspaper. I would grab the sports every day. He didn't care what it was. It was the want ads, the comics, the sports, the Life in Metro. And he'd have us read it. Just read whatever we wanted every day for 15 minutes. And then we'd spend the next 15, 20 minutes. He'd go, who read something notable? Who read something they want to talk about? And we would have a full class discussion. He would read us. Sometimes right after that, we would do a little quick mock jury thing where he'd read us a case, and the classroom would deliberate back and forth on, well, I think this and I think this, We did not exclusively study world geography, and in fact, world geography probably didn't even make up half that class. We had a stock market challenge, all kinds of cool stuff. But Mr. Tarrant's huge thing, and this is very important, is always be learning, always be using your brain, always be reading, have your own opinions, educate yourself. So every single day, before we'd even touch world geography, because we're going to have plenty of time to do that, we would read things and discuss them and like I said, do these mock jury things. He just insisted that every single day we were using our brains, talking about things, reading things, and it is true. It's so important.
Well, let me tell you what's interesting to me is that you did not highlight the teaching of world geography, but you love world geography so much. I am so impressed by your knowledge. As a matter of fact, I try to stump you up with world geography questions all the time. And so he taught you a love for his subject, and it has become a lifelong love.
Yeah, see, I had a teacher, and I am going to say his name and put him on blast because this is the real world. There was a guy named Martin Robinson who taught at St. Andrews. He was an asshole. And hell, I'll tell you right now, he physically assaulted me in front of a classroom full of people and got away with it. But, he was a terrible teacher, the worst kind of educator. And I remember someone else, to be fair, who gave me an interest in a love in world geography is the rap group the Fugees. Lauryn Hill rapped about being from Mogadishu. Proswell said, I refugee from Guantanamo Bay. Wyclef would talk about the city of Port-au-Prince. And I would come into Mr. Robinson's classroom and say, hey, what's Mogadishu? Hey, what's... And he just wouldn't even look up at me. And he's like, oh, there's a globe over there. Hey, he was a jerk. He was a real life jerk. A real crappy person to be around. So thank God for Mr. Tarrant, who opened my eyes to this vast world that's out there. We grow up and we get this little tiny baby image of what the world is, you know. I'm gonna be honest, you St. Andrews kids, y'all's world, West Austin, that's your whole world, you know. You live in West Austin, you live in Terrytown, or you know, you live in Westlake or whatever, and you go to ACL every year, and you go to Camp Longhorn, and you out on the lake and all this stuff, and you think that's the whole world. Out here in Pflugerville, you know, we used to go to Highland Mall. You know, we used to go to the Texas Relays. You know, we used to go to the Panther Relays. That was our whole world. There's the whole real world out there, and Mr. Tarrant definitely fostered a real passion and interest in that world, in the geography, the topography, the flora, the fauna, the people. Humanity is just so interesting to me, and that's what a great teacher can do for you. They can instill something in you for life.
Well, we're about out of time today, Blake. We've been on for over 30 minutes. So
Well, give me another question. We're not just gonna end like that. We gotta end. Gotta have some fair warning.
okay. All right, Blake, here's the last question.
Okay.
If you were to die suddenly this evening, what would you regret not having done?
What I said earlier, taking life seriously, taking myself seriously, learning to work hard, learning to have a voice, a backbone, a work ethic, learning to not cut corners, learning to the value of hard work. There's no one who gets up every day and goes and works hard and regrets it. Some people in really unfortunate circumstances, like, I'm not trying to say slave labor doesn't exist, not what I'm trying to say. But like my mom, for example, busts her ass every day. I mean, when she gets home from work, from teaching and coaching and being a student council sponsor and all this other crap, she gets home and does manual labor in the yard every day. It makes you feel good. And my biggest regret is not taking my own self or my own life seriously. I've had many health problems that we'll talk about in the future that have really affected me in a negative way. And I kind of don't ever stop wondering how much of that I might have been able to mitigate if I had learned to stop being such a shithead, little just smart ass, don't take nothing seriously kind of person when I was in, middle school, basically. Because people learn the hard way in life, and hopefully it only takes you one or two times. But you talk about if I suddenly died tonight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those types of things are usually what make people realize stuff. Someone dies suddenly. Something's gone suddenly. Well, I'll give you a sneak preview. This huge fat body of mine, these man breasts that I so amply display, yeah, that was from a drug I took called Risperdal. I gained all this weight in 7 months in high school, and it happened overnight. And my ability to be athletic and slim and handsome and all that was gone. My ability to run and exercise and feel endorphins was gone overnight. And I had never had a work ethic before that. So I look back and I go, yeah, that pill, it messed me up. But what if I had already been in really good shape? What if I did like my best friend Alex did during Christmas break 8th grade year and go running and working out every single day to stay in shape? He would go work out and exercise, and I'd be like, why, bro? We don't even have practice. And so then all of a sudden my athletic ability, my healthy body is gone, and I wonder, What if I had worked harder? What if I had taken it seriously and not taken it for granted? And that would be my biggest regret, is not only not taking myself and life seriously, but a part of that is to say, you take yourself seriously and then you fucking go for it. Whatever it is, your passion, something you love, something you want to do, who you want to become. You take it seriously, you take yourself seriously, you put in the work, and you go for it now. And you don't wait, you don't put it off. We just get used to thinking, this pandemic, we got used to being able to go out in public freely, no masks, no social distancing, nothing. Now it's gone. Don't wait for shit like that. Anything you care about, take it seriously now and make it happen. All right, that's episode 1. That's Nikola Jokic, that's Happy Gilmore, and that's Vladdy Jr. We've got some other guys back here. Maybe they'll get to be front and center next time. But yeah, this was a cool video that we're probably going to get to chop into some more videos, multiple videos that is. But yeah, good first day.
Had a great time, Blake.
Wait a second, let me put a song on.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go out with a song. I'm gonna put on one of my favorite songs, and this song is called "Cada macaco no seu gallo," which means, literally translated, means every monkey has his own branch. And now there is some, that's translated from Portuguese. This is a Brazilian song. There is some disagreement as to what the interpretation of that means. Every monkey has his own branch could mean, hey, stay in your lane. You got your own branch. No, do your thing. Don't worry about me. Or every monkey has his own branch could mean, hey, this didn't work out for you, something else will. Every monkey has his own branch. I don't know what it means. But Cada Macaco no Seu Gallo by Caetano Veloso and Gilberto Gil.
Nice pronunciations.
Obrigado.
Sí.
That's Spanish. I pressed play. What's happening? Why isn't it playing? This is a brand new MacBook. I wanted to...
Can I come dance with you?
Yeah, do it. Is the volume high enough? Oh, she almost fell. Cada macaco no seu galho, xoxo, aí não me canso de falar. Xoxo, aí não me galho na Bahia. Xoxo, aí não me enrolar. Xoxo, a cada macaco no seu galho. Xoxo, aí não me canso de falar. Xoxo. Roger Sterling, everybody. The dogs are going nuts. Xoxo, a cada macaco no seu gallo. That's it.
All right, I'm hungry. Let's go out and cut.